Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Bennett Maths Live. So this evening we're going to look at the first part of the paper 1F and 1H. The aim is to go through both exam boards, so looking at both AQA and Edexcel, but obviously that will be time permitted. So if you haven't already, please do like the live. Please do share it with your friends as well, and if you don't already, please do follow the page. Okay, so just before we begin, some of you may have seen this post already today. The countdown to the exam schedule is on the screen now. So every Sunday we'll be doing the same live session from 8 PM till 9 PM. The first half of the session being supporting foundation tier and the second half supporting the higher tier. If you are doing the higher tier, then I would recommend that you follow both the first session and the second session, especially when we get to kind of part 2 and part 3 of the foundation papers. You'll notice as well there are 3 additional sessions in there on a Tuesday, Wednesday and a Tuesday. They are the night before the actual exam papers. There'll be bumper revision sessions on from 8 PM till 10 PM. Again, looking at kind of the most common topics, and for the paper 2 and paper 3, the topics that haven't appeared yet. And just to answer some of your questions, so what we're learning today, so we're going to be looking at, if I just go back a slide, the Bennett Maths third in 30 papers. So basically, if you go to the Bennett Maths website and go to a third in 30, it is part 1 of the 1F and the 1H papers that we're going to be looking at. We're going to be covering AQA and Edexcel tonight. Okay, so rather than me just going through the whole paper, I want to do a little bit different tonight. So what I'm going to do is put the question on the board, kind of give you 20 seconds in the comments to add any of the answers that you think it should be. So question 1, we've got a list of numbers. Part A, which number in the list is a multiple of 5? So again, if you think you know it, pop it in the comments. Part B, which number is a square number? Part C, which 2 would add to give you a total of 45? And then part D, the largest number in the list divided by the smallest number in the list. So if you're following the foundation paper, these should be nice, easy marks. It's a nice introduction to the start of your exams. Okay, so for the first one, I can see that some of you have got 20 already. So which number is a multiple of 5? If it's in the 5 times tables, it's going to end in either a 0 or 5. So obviously the only number there that ends in 0 or 5 is 20. For part B, we are looking for a square number. So a square number is when you multiply a number by itself and the result is the square number. So for example, 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 2 is 4, so 1 and 4 are both square numbers. We keep going up and we're looking for a number that would appear for one of the results, and it would be 36, because 6 times by 6 gives you 36. For part C, which 2 numbers have a total of 45? So total would just mean we're adding them together. So the 2 numbers in this list that would add together to give you 45 will be 27 and 18. And it doesn't matter what order you put those in. So on to 1D, the largest number in the list divided by the smallest number. So the largest number there is 42. The smallest number is 6. We divide those and we get an answer of 7. So this is AQA for those who are asking. So we'll look at the AQA foundation part 1 first, then we'll move on to the Edexcel foundation, and then after that we'll do the same for higher. Okay, so question 2, involving a bit of measuring on this one. So obviously, I'm not expecting you to get a rule right and measure your screen now. You've got different size phones and computers. There will be different answers. So on the next slide, I've placed a ruler on there, and I've also placed a protractor on there to help. So for part A, use a ruler to measure the side length of the square. So using the rule we've been given, I get 4.1 centimeters. However, the question says give your answer in millimeters. It's really key that you read the question. Far too many people will just write 4.1 as their answer. And if you write 4.1, it's wrong. It's not in the correct units. To go from centimeters to millimeters, we times by 10. So do 4.1 times by 10, and we get 41 millimeters. Part B. Again, if the protractor is given for you like this, it's really easy to read the correct number. But again, people make mistakes. they don't place the centre of the protractor at the centre of the angle, and they don't place the baseline of the protractor along the baseline of the angle. And if you forget to do that, you're going to get the wrong answer. Now, what we always do is we start at the 0. The 0 is on the inside set of numbers, which means we need to use those. If you used to use the wrong set of numbers, so if you start on the 180, again, you're going to get the wrong answer. So on this one, it goes to 10, 20, goes up 2 little dashes, which gives you an answer of 22. For part C, a quadrilateral is drawn on a centimetre grid. It says by counting the squares, work out the area of the quadrilateral. Okay, so it's telling you how to start the question. It's making it easy for you. What I'm going to do is just split the shape into 2. I've got a rectangle on the left-hand side. I can see there are 1, 2, 3, 4 squares on the top row, 4 on the middle row, 4 on the bottom row. 4 plus 4 plus 4 gives us 12 centimetres squared. And then onto the triangle, we've got 1, 2, 3 full squares. These 2 half squares will make another one, and we have an extra 0.5 of a square left over. So we've got 3 plus 1 gives you 4, and a 0.5 gives you 4.5. Then our final step is just to add those 2 together. So 12 plus 4.5 gives you 16.5. So what's the formula? So the formula is we do a plus b over 2 times by h, or you might do a half of a plus b times by h. Yes, there's 2 ways to do it. Greedy is asking about the area. This is the formula to find the area. Perimeter is the distance around the outside. So the area is the space what's in the inside. So again, if this was a question that was later in the exam, then you would have to use one of these 2 formulas. Again, the bottom one is given to you on the formula sheet, so you don't need to remember that. But on this one, we're just counting squares, so we get 16.5. I'm going to take that as a positive, Lewis. I'm not going to be coming back, unfortunately, but all the best in your exams. On to part 2D. So one side of the rectangle is drawn on the centimetre grid. Complete the rectangle so it has an area of 28 centimetres. So the first step, just count how many we've got on the bottom one. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 times by something is equal to 28. The something is going to be 4, which means we need a height of 4. Again, you guys would have a ruler and a pencil. If you didn't have a ruler and a pencil and you do it the same like I've just done freehand, the intention is clear. We can clearly see that is a 7 by 4 rectangle. Therefore, we get the full marks. Question 3. So back to you guys for this one. So it says work out -2 times by -5. So answers in the comment section. Oh, if you mean excited, there's a C in there, EXCITED. And of course I'm excited for Tuesday. Auto incorrect. Okay, so I'm not seeing any comments for the answer on this one. It's got -2 times by -5. What happens when we multiply 2 negatives together? Thank you, Sophie. So we do negative times by negative gives you a positive. We do 2 times by 5, that gives us 10. On to the second one, we've got 3 times by -8. So, yep, we get -24 for that one. Again, if you're not too sure, do the numbers first. 3 times by 8 gives you 24. We have a positive number, we have a negative number. If we have different signs, it gives you a negative answer. On to question 3C. So we've got -4 squared. Again, we just need to know what squared means. Squared just means that you multiply the number by itself. So we've got -4 times by -4, and as I'm seeing in the comments, we get an answer of 16. On to question 3D, so 2 to the power of 3, so 2 cubed. Again, it's just about knowing what that means. It means 2 times by 2 times by 2. So 2 times by 2 is 4, times that by 2 gives you 8, so our answer is 8. If you can only do one of these now, It's not great, but you've got plenty of time. Just keep revising. The more you practice, the better you'll be. Simple as that. And just before we go on to the next question, again, if you haven't already liked the live, please do so. If you haven't already shared it, again, please do share it, just so we can kind of spread this for more people. And again, if you don't follow the page, please do follow. All updates will be shared on the TikTok page first. So when I do the predicted paper, paper 2 and paper 3, obviously they'll be on TikTok first. So if you're following it, you'll see these. Yeah, this is foundation. YWGCA, I fancied a change, so I had a change. If you just type it once, Lewis, I'll respond to you. So on the first one, why don't we keep the minus sign? So if you do a negative times by a negative, if we have two signs that have the same sign, that becomes a positive value. And yes, this is AQA. So we're doing AQA for the first part, moving on to Edexcel, and then onto the highest section later, we'll do AQA, then Edexcel again. We keep the sign of the bigger value. Not quite. So what you can do is ignore the sign you start off with, do 2 times by 5, that gives you 10, then compare the signs afterwards. Okay, so on to question 4. So it says 12 over 40 as a fraction in its simplest form. We're not doing full papers in one live session. We'll be doing kind of a third of a paper each kind of live session, and then by the end of 3 live sessions, you'll have the full paper done. So we've got 12 over 40, so we have 12 over 40. It says in its simplest form, so I'm looking for a value that goes into both 12 and 40, and again, I'm looking in the comment section, I can see people getting the right answer. So we have 3 over 10. Now the way we get to 3 over 10, for those who aren't too sure, is we divide both top and bottom by the same number, so we divide them both by 4. Now you might not have done that, you might have divided them by 2 first. Now if you did divide them by 2, you would have got 6 over 20, which I can see in the comment section again. Once you've got the 6 over 20, divide that by 2, and that gives you the 3 over 10. Again, it wants in its simplest form, so we keep going until we can't divide anymore. On to question 5. So at a cinema, the normal price for a ticket is £12. The normal price of regular popcorn tub is £4.90. We've got some special offers on. So it says cinema ticket is half the normal price. Regular popcorn tub is £1.40 less than the normal price. Work at the total price, i.e. adding these 2 answers together, of 3 cinema tickets and 1 regular popcorn tub. What grade is this? This is probably about a grade 2 at a push. So it says half the normal price. The normal price is £12. So we half that, and that gives you £6. So that's the cost of 1 cinema ticket. And then we have 3 of those tickets. So do 6 times by 3, and that gives you £18. So we've worked out the cinema ticket. Yeah, this is foundation for those who are asking. It is £1.40 less than the normal price. The normal price is £4.90. So we do £4.90, take away £1.40. That gives you £3.50. And then we're just getting one of those. So it's just £3.50 for the 1 popcorn tub. And then the final step, we've got 18 and £3.50. We just need to add those 2 together, and we get £21.50. Okay, if you're not too sure on that, just do your column method, just make sure decimal points are aligned. Sorry, so if you're referring to question 4 or question 5, and I'll try and talk through it. So it asks you to find a percentage of, or it's reduced by percentage. So if it said the regular cinema ticket was reduced by 20%, we'd find 20% of it. So we'd find 10% first, which is £1.20. We'd double that to get 20%, which is £2.40. Then we just take that off the original price. But yeah, we will see some of those questions over the next few live sessions, so don't worry too much. So question 6, write 2 and 3/7 as an improper fraction. So the first thing we do is we multiply the whole number by the denominator. So we do 2 times by 7, then we add the numerator on, so we add the 3 on. So 2 times by 7, that gives you 14, add the 3, that gives you 17, and the denominator stays the same. So I don't know why there's a dodgy line, but we get 17 over 7. So again, well done to those who got that right. Question 6b, so converting 0.23 into a fraction. So again, if you think you know the answer, pop it into the comment section for me. There you go, a couple of people with 23 over 100. Don't put a question mark. There's one thing, obviously I'm seeing an examiner when I'm marking exam papers or checking marking exam papers, a lot of students put question marks. If you put in question marks in there, you're doubting yourself. Please don't do that. Be confident enough to just say, this is what I think the answer is. So yeah, we're right. We get 23 over 100. Yeah, this is foundation. You don't have to apologise. It's just a bit of advice for you. So on to our next question. So we have a pictogram recording the colours of 100 cars, and we're given a key. The key is the most important part of a pictogram. If you know the key, then the rest is nice and straightforward. So it gives you information about 4 different colours. 2 of them are blank. It says there are 4 more red cars than silver cars. Complete the pictogram for the 100 cars. So the first thing that we need to do is work out how many cars we currently have. We know that each one of these kind of like 2x2 grids is worth 8. So we've got 8, another 8, another 8, and then another 8. 4 lots of 8 gives you 32. So do the same for each one of those. So for the black cars, we have an 8, an 8. This time we half of it. Now, if we're not too sure, go back to the start. We've got 4 little squares which are equal to 8, which means that each individual square is worth 2. So this must be worth 4. So do 8, add 4. That gives, doesn't give you 16, that gives you 20. And then for the next one, we have 8 and 8, which does give you 16. And then for the bottom one, we have an 8 and 4, which gives you 12. And then our next step is just to add all those answers together. So you've got 32, 20, 16, and 12. So we add the units together first. 2 plus 2 is 4, add the 6 gives you 10. Carry the 1. 3 plus 2 is 5. Add the 1 is 6, add the 1 is 7, another 1 is 8. Now we know there are 100 cars in total, so 100 take away 80, and that leaves you with 20. We are told there are 4 more red cars than silver cars. Now I'm going to show you a way of doing this using algebra, just because it comes up on the way to questions and you'll have to form equations at some point. So there are 4 more red cars than silver cars. We don't currently know how many silver cars there are, so we can call that x. If there are 4 more red cars, that'll be x plus 4. So you have x plus 4, add x, is equal to 20. We simplify the left-hand side, we get 2x plus 4. That's equal to 20, and then we can solve that equation. I know you don't have to do it this way. You can just do it numerically. However, this is just a skill that you're expected to know, and it will help you further down the line. So we take 4 from both sides. We get 2x equal to 16, and then x is equal to 8. So in terms of grades, pictograms comes in at grade 2. Depending on the complexity, if it asks you to convert it into a different graph, it can be going up to grade 3. So we know x is 8, which means that there are 8 silver cars. It means there must be, therefore, 12 red cars. So we need to draw those onto the pictogram. For red, we need 12. We know that 1 whole square is worth 8. If we need 4 more, it's just half of that square. And then for the next one, for silver, we need 1 whole square. That gives us a value of 8. How do you do past papers? Best thing to do is to find a paper for the example that you are obviously following and just have a go at as many questions you can do. Then just find the solutions online. Every single paper will be on either TikTok, YouTube. You can literally get the mark schemes. If you're following Edexcel, they have the written solutions as well. So again, just compare your answers to it. See what you've got right, total those scores. The ones where you made a mistake on it, just see where you got wrong. Just follow it step by step. There's a certain part you can get to, which is great. But then if you go wrong at a certain point, again, it's just being able to practice those skills. If you're lucky enough to have Sparks Maths as kind of like an independent learning provider for your school, then going on there and just having a look. Why is there 2x? Because I had x plus 4 for red, I had x for silver. So an x on its own is the same as 1x. So I'm doing 1x add 1x, which gives you 2x. Okay, so on to next question. So we now have a substitution into a formula question. So it says t is equal to 2a minus b. And we have been given the values of a and the values of b. So we substitute those in. So t is equal to, 2, and then a 10. Now again, for this one, we need to know what 2a means. 2a means 2 times by a, so 2 lots of a. So we do 2 times by 20, and then we take away the 8. So we do it in the order we see it. So 2 times by 10 gives you 20. Take away 8 gives you an answer of 12. Okay, so the next one, a little bit trickier. On this one, we have a negative value of t, but also we're given the answer to the formula, so we're having to work backwards through it. So we set it up by substituting the value of t in where we see t, so we have a negative 22. That's equal to 2a, and then take away, and we have 16. And then at that stage, we want to find the value of a. So basically, just making a the subject of this question. So we did the opposite of taking 16, which is adding 16. And we need to do that to both sides of the equation to keep it balanced. So do negative 22 add 16. We're getting closer to 0. So that leaves you with an answer of negative 6. On this side, we still have our 2a. The negative 16 and the positive 16 cancel each other out, so it's gone. Then our next step is to divide both sides by the value in front of a, so divide by 2. We do negative 6 divided by 2, that gives you negative 3. So our final answer for a is negative 3. Okay, so we've gone through the first part of the AQA Foundation paper. We're going to do the exact same thing now, but for an Edexcel paper. The topics very similar in terms of what could be on both. So if you were following AQA, it's still worth listening to this. The questions on here are still going to help you. Again, if you did enjoy that and you felt it was beneficial, please do like the live, please do share it. All the resources are available on bennettmaths.com. If you go onto the website, you'll see a massive banner that says Summer 2025. If you click on there and scroll down slightly, you will see a section that says a third in 30. Basically, I've split exam papers into 3 sections, so you've got 30 minutes to just work through an exam paper. Okay, so onto the Excel paper. Out of interest, are you studying the Edexcel or AQA specification? So you say Edexcel is easier. Do you follow that one? Hopefully you do. So question 1, it says write 64% as a decimal. So the first thing we need to do is know how to convert from percentage to a decimal. Percentage means per 100, so we divide by 100. And I can see in the comments that people are giving the answer already. So we get 0.64. What? And then question 2, what fraction of the shape is unshaded? So again, if you can put answers in the comments for me. And if you read the question, unshaded, so the bit that is not shaded in. 1 or 2 people may have done the shaded side. There we go, got our first couple of right answers there, well done. So there are 7 parts that are not shaded, and there are 10 parts in total, so it's 7 out of 10. On to question 3. So here are some numbers. We want to list those starting with the smallest. Now, just one bit of advice. If it says start with the smallest, it's just so that people don't get confused about which way to do it. If you were to mistakenly do it from biggest to smallest, you still get the mark, because the skill that they are testing here is can you order numbers. So it doesn't matter if the smallest to biggest or biggest to smallest. So our first step is we look for the smallest number. So we're looking at the units. We've got 2, 2, 3, 1 and 2. 1's obviously the smallest. So 1.5 will be the smallest number. We then have a 2.6, 2.4, 2.3. They all have a 2 in the units. We look at the next place. We have a 3, a 4 and a 6. The smaller of those is 2.3. Then 2.4. Then 2.6. And we still have that 3.1. So we put that on there. And again, you can see in the comment section, people are getting this right as well. So well done. On to question 4. So work out -3 plus 5. So we start at -3. And we add 5 on. There are no signs side by side, so there's no rule that needs to take place. So think about your number line, start at -3, count 5 places on, and that takes you to 2. And again, well done to those who've got that right in the comments. On to question 5, so we're asked to solve. So we have 7 take away p is equal to 3. So 7 take away a number is equal to 3. Now, some of you will just know the answer straight away. You can just look at it and say, well, p is this. So you might struggle. Now, if you do, what we can do is just solve this equation. If you have a negative value of the algebra, we want to get rid of that first. So we're going to do something by the opposite. So we're going to add p to both sides. So we get 7 is equal to 3 plus p. We then take the 3 from both sides to get p to the subject, and we get p equals 4. Again, I know most of you probably won't need to do that method. You'll just be able to work out in your head straight away. 7 take 3 gives you 4. So we have question 6. So labels of a circle. So we've got the radius, the diameter, and the centre. Explain why one of these labels is wrong. So the radius is from the centre to the circumference. So that one's fine. The centre is in the middle of the circle. Again, that one's fine. Diameter is a key word for a part of a circle. However, the diameter is double the radius. So if we were to go from one point of the circumference through the centre to the other part of the circumference, that would be the diameter, but it's pointed to a different line. What we need to do is state what line this should be. So the diameter is wrong. As it should be the circumference. There we go. So on to question 7. Write down 3 different factors of 30. This question kind of changes slightly between AQA and Edexcel. Edexcel will say write down 2 factors, write down 3 factors, write down a factor. AQA like to say write down all the factors. So if we want to find the different factors of 30, we're thinking of number combinations that would multiply to give you 30. So for example, you could do 1 times by 30, 2 times by 15, 3 times by 10, 5 times by 6. They are all the possible factor pairs that will give you an answer of 30. And then we just need to pick any 3 of those. And it really doesn't make a difference which ones you choose. So I'm just going to go for 1, 2, and 3. Nice and straightforward. If you get this kind of question, remember that 1 and itself go into every number. So straight away, if I was being asked to do the 3 different factors of 30, I know 1 and 30 go into it straight away. I just need to find 1 extra number. Question number 8. Work out the size of the angle marked X. So in this one, we just need to know what the rule is for angles around a point. Angles around a point create a circle. Angles in a circle are 360, and I can see quite a few people in the comments writing the answer already, which is good. So do 360, take away 55, and that gives an answer of 305. So again, well done to those who worked that out. So a student says an angle of 55 degrees is a reflex angle. The student is wrong. Explain why. So what kind of angle would 55 degrees be? So it's not a reflex angle. So again, answer in the comment section if you know. Perfect. There we go. So it's an acute angle. So a couple people say I don't know. Fair enough. So an acute angle is what the answer is. Acute angles are angles that are between 0 and up to, but not including 90 degrees. 90 degrees obviously a right angle. From 91 to 180, those angles are called your obtuse angles. And then anything greater than 180 degrees, they would be your reflex angles. So again, if you're not too sure on types of angles, it's definitely something to look up. So on to question 9. So write down the coordinates of point A. So your question about 180 to 360, anything bigger than 180 is a reflex angle. Once you hit 360, it's angles around a point or a circle. Okay, so answer in the comments. I'm seeing the answer already. There we go. So we go across the x-axis first, which takes you -3. We then go up in the y-axis to give you a +4. So answer is -3, 4. If they don't include the brackets and the comma on the answer line, you need to ensure you do that. If you forget to put the brackets in there, you're not going to get the mark. So again, just things to be aware of. We don't want to drop marks, especially on the first part of the paper. So part B, put the point with coordinates -4, -3, and label this point C. So we go across to -4, we go down to -3, we place across, and we call that C. So I've placed it across where it is, I've labelled it C. You might just put a C at that point, or you might forget to put the C. You'll still get the mark if there's some kind of clear intention that you need to have a coordinate at that point. Part C, write down the coordinates of the midpoint of AB. So on this one, if they give you a graph, you can, if you want to, just use a ruler, measure the line, let's say it's 10 centimetres, find half of that, you'll find your answer. If you're not too sure on how to do that method, obviously count how many across it goes, how many down it goes, then half that. So from -3 to 5 is 8 across. From 4 to 2 is 2 down. So we half those values, so we go 4 across, we go 1 down, that gives you the midpoint. Some of you will just look at it and know where the midpoint is. So again, it's about putting the coordinates in the correct order. So it's the x-axis first, so the 1, and then it goes to the y-axis second, so 3. So we have 1, 3 is our answer. Part D, draw the line of the equation x equals -5. So we find the x-axis, we find the number -5. Some people put a mark at that point and then stop. Okay, it's not a line. So it's saying draw the line. So we need a line going through that line, or through that point. The most common answer you'll see, for those who get it right, is a line going from the very top to the very bottom. Now you don't have to go all the way. You might draw a line from, say, here to here. You've got a line that goes through that point, that's enough to get the mark. That's on Edexcel. If you're with AQA, it will usually say, the wording question will be slightly different, it will say draw a line for all points. So you have to draw a line from the very top to the very bottom. They're a bit harsher in terms of the marks on that. Okay, so on to question 10. So Jenny sees a special offer in the shop. Buy 1 large bowl and get 1 small bowl for half the normal price. The normal price of a large bowl is £5 and the normal price of a small bowl is £3. Jenny wants to buy 8 large bowls and 4 small bowls using this offer. She has £45. Has she got enough money? Okay, so to answer, yep, this is Foundation. This is Edexcel Foundation, and we're up to question 10 now. So we're getting closer to kind of like the halfway part of it. So for this question, and again, it's on a Foundation T paper, they tend to write it in the order they want you to do it. So we read through this. The normal price for a large bowl is £5. She wants to buy 8 large bowls. So the first thing I'm going to do is 8 times by £5. That gives me £40. The next step is if we buy 1 large bowl, we get 1 small bowl for half the normal price. If we've bought 8 large bowls, in theory, we could get 8 small bowls for half price, but we don't want 8, we just want 4 of them. So it's going to be half of this price. Half of 3 is 1.5. So in terms of money, £1.50. So we've got 4 times by £1.50. If you're not too sure on how to do that, all we need to do when we multiply by 4 is double it, then double it again. £1.50 doubled is £3, £3 doubled gives you £6. So we add those two answers together, so we've got 40 plus 6, and that gives you £46. So our next step is, has she got enough money? Have we actually answered the question? Well, we've not. So it says, has she got enough money? You must show your answer. She doesn't have enough money, so we need to say no. If we forget to put the word no, we're only getting 3 out of 4 marks when we've done the majority of the work. Okay, so on to the next part of Edexcel Foundation paper. So it says a total of 800 tickets were on sale for a concert. 260 of the tickets were not sold. How many tickets were sold? So the tickets were either sold or they weren't. There's only 2 options available. So we're going to do 800, take away 262. So I'm going to use the column method. So our first step is 0 take away 2, which we can't do, so we need to borrow. We've got a 0 there, that doesn't help us. So we're going to borrow again. So the 8 becomes a 7, and the 0 becomes a 10. At that point, we can borrow. So that becomes a 9, carry the 1, which is 10. We do 10 take away 2, that gives you 8. We do 9 take away 6, which we can do, which gives you 3. 7 take away 2 gives you 5. So there's 538 of those tickets that have been sold. For a different concert, 303 tickets were sold for £20.50, 405 tickets were sold for £31 each. Work out an estimate So as soon as you see that word estimate, if you use the actual values in the question, you're getting 0 marks. You need to ensure that you round these numbers. So our first step is to round each one of these values, and we want to find the total amount of money that's been paid for these tickets. So the 303, I'm going to call 300. The £20.50, I'm going to call 20. The 405, I'm going to call 400. And the 31, I'm going to call 30. And we're going to work out those totals. So do 300 times by 20, 3 times by 2 is 6, add the extra zeros in, gives you 6,000. 4 times by 3 is 12, add the extra zeros in, gives you 12,000. We work out the total, so we add those together, and we get £18,000. On to part C. So again, Edexcel love a question where it asks about an underestimate or an overestimate. It says, is your answer to part B an underestimate or an overestimate, and give a reason? So it's an underestimate. And the reason for that is we've rounded down on each value. I don't know like it's doing a line. You're not all right to write 18k. If you write 18k, you ain't getting the mark, because k stands for a constant value that which we'd use in proportion. Okay, so we finished the foundation part of this live session. It's gone a little bit over schedule, probably just, but we finished that part. So again, if you did enjoy that and you do feel you gain from it, obviously do like the live, do share it. If you don't already, please do follow the Betting Maths TikTok page. We're now going to focus on the high tier for AQA and Edexcel. Again, if you do follow the foundation tier, I'd definitely stay and watch this as well, just because the first part of the higher paper is obviously the crossover section. So lots of these questions would be on the foundation paper as well. Okay, again, if you do want to follow this paper, kind of getting ahead of where we're up to, if you go to Reddit Maths, click on the 30 and 30 section, you'll be able to find all of these on there as well. And if you want to go back and have a look at these in the future, obviously you can do. There's lots of other resources on there as well. There are predicted papers. It's the first time I've done an AQA predicted paper, so the questions that are on there have been taken from past papers as well. When it comes to paper 2 and paper 3, which will be shared on TikTok first, they will be brand new questions that have never been seen before, that I've written myself. I'm a senior examiner, have been for, I think this is my 10th year now, so I've got lots of experience in exam writing, so obviously these would help. So on to AQA higher, and again we're just looking at the first third of the paper. So again, if you're on foundation, please do carry on watching. These questions would also be on the foundation right towards the end. So we have 0.3 times by 0.2. So again, if you are confident enough, please do have a go. Pop your answer in the comment section for me. So a couple of people put 0.6. You'll be surprised that is one of the most common answers that you will get. Unfortunately, it's not 0.6. I'll talk for you in a moment why it's not. For those who are asking how do you edit papers, just convert them into PowerPoints, really easy. So again, a lot of the answers now in the comment section of 0.06. You guys are correct, so well done. So if we're doing multiply with decimals, the first thing we do, ignore the decimals. We just have 3 times 2. That equals 6. I can see why people got 0.6. But in the question, there are 2 digits after the decimal point, which means there needs to be 2 digits in the answer after the decimal point. So we need to include that extra 0 in there. This is the first part of the higher AQA paper, but it would also be on the foundation paper as well towards the end. If you're timesing by 10 on both of them, you then have to times your answer by 10 twice as well, just to ensure it's balanced. So on to, so 3 times 2 will give you 6, and then divide by 10, then divide by 10 again. So question 1b, work out 4/5 divided by 7. So obviously have a go yourself. If you're not too sure, you want a little hint, 7 can be written as 7/1. So again, if we're working with fractions, it's best to deal with fractions. So if you've got any integers, pop them into fraction form first. So we have 4/5 divided by 7/1. When we divide by fractions, what we do is we multiply by the reciprocal. The reciprocal is just a fancy way of saying we flip the second fraction over. So that becomes 4/5 times by 1/7. And multiplying fractions is by far the easiest one of the 4 operations. We just do the top row times together, the bottom row times together. And it doesn't matter how many fractions you have. If you have 4 fractions being times together, just times all 4 top numbers, all 4 bottom numbers. So we get 4 times 1, that gives you 4. We do 5 times by 7, we get 35. And again, I've seen that in the comments as well, so well done to those who got that right. Question 1c, we've got 16 divided by 0.2. So we want to see how many 0.2s would be added together to give us 16. Now again, when we're dividing by decimals, the first thing we want to do is to change this 0.2 into a whole number. So we're going to multiply it by 10. That gives you a value of 2. If you multiply the second one, or this part of the question, by 10, you also need to multiply the first part by 10 as well. So we get 160 divided by 2. That gives you an answer of 80. Now, 1 or 2 people will get 80 and then go, well, I've multiplied by 10, so I need to divide by 10. It's a lot of rubbish. We don't do that. And the reason we don't do that is because if I pick some nice numbers, I do 10 divided by 2, that equals 5. If I multiply them both by 10, and I have 100 divided by 20, still equals 5. Okay, so again, if you multiply them both by the same number, we don't need to change the answer. So we get an answer of 80 as our final answer. So this is the first page of Higher. It would be on the foundation as well. Those who are saying this is not Higher, this definitely is Higher. And if you're doing the Higher paper and you find it easy, great, easy marks for you. So there's a crossover section. So basically 20% of a GCSE paper has to appear on both the foundation and the Higher paper. The reason there has to be 20% crossover is so that they have comparison between those who get grade 4 and grade 5s. Because obviously you can get a 4 and 5 on both papers. So question 2, we've got 5x is less than 60. So the first thing we need to do if we're solving is to find the value of x. So we need to have the x on its own. So divide both sides by 5. We get x is less than, and then 60 divided by 5 gives you 12. If you're not confident dividing by 5, just divide by 10, then times by 2. Same as dividing by 5. Again, when you get your answer, don't just write 12. You've got to write it as an inequality. If you just wrote it as a 12, you don't get the mark. Okay, so on to question 3. So we have 5/3 squared. Give your answer as a mixed number. Again, when we are squaring something, it just means that we're multiplying it by itself. So we have 5/3 times by 5/3. Multiplying fractions, like I said before, easiest part. We do 5 times by 5, that gives you 25. 3 times by 3 gives you 9. And again, 3 times 3 is 9. The amount of times I see 3 times 3 equals 6, it's beyond a joke. So those who are asking, this is AQA, this is the Higher, or the start of the Higher tier paper. These would also be on the foundation paper as well. So if you're following foundation, do listen to this, it's going to help you. So at this stage, we've got 25/9. We want it as a mixed number. That means we have a whole number and then a fraction afterwards. So do 25 divided by 9, that gives you 2. There are 7 left over, so we get 2 and 7/9. Again, if you feel that this is beneficial to you, please do like the live. I've put a goal of 10,000 likes. I think my highest so far was 9,700 and something. So I'd like this to be the highest one so far. Obviously, if you are able to, then please do obviously share the live as well, just to get more people involved. Those asking how many marks you need for a grade 5 maths, if you go onto my TikTok page, I put all the grade bounds on there recently, so just scroll back a few videos and you'll find it. So this could appear in OCR as well, for those who are asking. I haven't made any predicted papers or OCR because it's quite a small cohort who do it. There's a lot of time and effort that goes into making a predicted paper. So this is higher, but it could be on the foundation as well. This is the crossover section. So question 4. ABC, BD and BE are straight lines, which we can clearly see from the diagram. It says that angle EBD is 6 times by whatever angle ABE is. Now we don't know what ABE is equal to at the moment, so I'm just going to assign it a value. I'm going to call it X, which means that EBD, so this angle here, is 6 lots of X, so 6X. If then focus on the next part, it says DBC is 3 lots of ABE, so ABE was X, so DBC is 3 lots of X, so 3X. And then at that point, we can form an equation. We know that angles on a straight line are 180 degrees. We can add these values together. Now again, if you have an X on its own, it means 1X. So we've got 1X, add 6X, add 3X. That gives you 10X. And we know that 10X is equal to 180 degrees. It's a straight line. We find the value of X by dividing both sides by 10, and we get X equals 18. Then says find the angle DBC. So this one over here, which was worth 3X. So we need 3 lots of 18. And again, I can see someone's got the answer right in the comments already. And we get 54 degrees. I don't know why these lines keep appearing. So apologies for that. Again, thank you to those who are liking the live for me. Up to 7,000 already, which is great. Trying to get to 10,000 by the end of this live. And again, those who are obviously sharing as well, thank you very much for that, just to get more people involved. We've got 77 of you here at the moment, which is quite good for a maths live on a Sunday. And again, thank you to those who sent a gift as well. So on to question 5. It says 2 prime numbers are multiplied together. The answer is an even number between 40 and 50. If it's an even number, it means that one of these 2 numbers needs to be even. There is only one even prime number, and that is 2. We need to multiply 2 by another prime number in order to get a value that's between 40 and 50 and is even as well. And again, I can see in the comment section, someone's got an answer straight away. So we've got 2 times by 23, and that gives you an answer of 46. 2 is a prime number, 23 is a prime number, and the answer is an even number. So again, well done to those who got that right. 3 marks, yeah, really nice 3-mark question. You get 1 mark for identifying that 2 should be the number. You get another mark for identifying the 23, and your 3rd mark is for actually just multiplying those 2 together. So if you got the first 2 parts, well, if you're on high T and you can't do 2 times 23, you've done pretty well. You're not doing very well, rather. Is this foundation? This could be on the foundation paper. It could be right at the very end of the paper. If you don't know your prime numbers, it just means they can only be divided by 1 in themselves. So basically 2 is the only even prime number. And then you just go through all your odd numbers and you're just looking for any numbers that can be divided by another. So for example, if I go to 9, 9 is divisible by 3, so it can't be prime. So I go to my next odd number, which is 11. 11 is a prime number because only 1 and 11 go into it. That's just a way to kind of work out your prime numbers. Is this A-level further maths? This is not A-level further maths. This is GCSE higher tier for AQA. Intermediate, that's not this exam board. I think that's the Welsh Joint WJEC exam board. So I couldn't tell you if it's on intermediate or not. Thank you to those who just posted some prime numbers in the comments. That obviously will help everybody. 5 times 11. Well, 5 times 11 is 55, so it's not between 40 and 50, and 55 is not an even number. On to question 6. So Chloe and Mikey share something in the ratio of 3 to 4. Mikey gets £72. Right, so the first thing I'm going to do on this one is not read the rest of the question. I've been given some information and I can work with that already. So I've got C and I've got M. And I know that C is the first part, so she gets the first ratio, so she gets 3. Mike is the second part, so he gets the second part of the ratio, so he gets 4. We then have Mikey getting £72. So we can see straight away that Mikey has 4 shares, and that is worth £72. What we can do now is work out how much Chloe gets. So we can do 72 divided by 4. Again, if you're not too confident doing that, divide by 4 just means half it, then half it again. Half of 72 is 36. Half of 36 gives you 18. Chloe gets 3 lots of that, so she gets 3 lots of 18. So Chloe gets £54. And then at that stage, we can then work out how much Pippa's going to get. So Chloe gives 1/6 of her share to Pippa. When you find a fraction rate, it just means divide by the bottom times by the top. If it's a unit fraction, i.e. there's a 1 on top, we don't need to worry about that second step. We can just divide by the bottom. So for Chloe, we're doing 54 divided by 6. That gives £9. You could, if you want to, do 9 times 1. Doesn't change anything, still £9. We then move on to Mikey. He's giving 4/9 of his share to Pippa. So do 72, again divided by the bottom number, so divide by 9. That gives you 8. And then we multiply by the top number, so do 8 times by 4, and that gives you 32. How much money does Pippa receive in total? She got £9 from Chloe. She got £32 from Mikey. We add those two together, and we get £41. For those asking, yeah, this is higher. Again, could be on the foundation paper, but it's that crossover section. If you've not done any revision, well, you've done the first step by coming to a live lesson and doing a little bit of practice. Best thing to do, though, if you are one of those who hasn't quite started yet, please just do as many past papers as you can do. There's been a lot of interesting developments on TikTok over the last couple of days, talking about predicted papers. Obviously, the more predicted papers you do, the more practice papers you do, the better position you're going to be in. But the best thing to do is look at the things that are from the exam board. So if you're following AQA, look for some past papers. Where can you find them online? Literally, if you Google AQA past papers, GCSE and maths, it comes up with them all there, and you can literally just have a go with them. Lots of websites as well share them. So I've got some of the older ones for Edexcel on my website. I try not to put the most recent ones on there just because schools tend to use those for for mocks. Maths Genie has got all the papers on there. He does video solutions as well. Pretty good start for your revision. So this example that I'm working through right now is AQA. After this, we'll move on to Edexcel. The questions that are on this AQA section so far would be on an Edexcel paper as well. Okay, so continuing. So we have 2 to the power of a times by 3 to the power of 2 times by 5 is equal to 360. And we want to find the value of a. And it says you must show you're working. So if you literally just guess a number, well, you're getting 0 marks. So the paper that we're doing here is from the Bennett Maths website. It's called a third in 30. So basically I've gone through past papers, split them into 3 different sections. So the first third, the second third, the final third. And we're going through those for all the live sessions. I don't come on live every day. I've got a set schedule at the moment where I'll be doing every Sunday, 8 till 9, and then I'm also doing 2 hours the night before the exam. The 8 till 9 sessions though might last a little bit longer. So for example, it's 10 to 9 now, and I still haven't got onto the Edexcel paper. So it's probably going to overrun a little bit. I will probably do a few extra live sessions in between, but again, it depends on availability. So again, thank you very much to those who've liked it. We've hit 12,000 likes already. I was aiming for 10,000, so I'm really happy with that. I think that's great, especially for kind of like my first main live schedule. Have you left it too late to revise? It's never too late to start. If you keep putting it off, then obviously it's going to get later and later, and you were the night before the exam thinking, probably should have revised a few months ago. So if you've left too late, no, just get revising now. Again, if you are enjoying this and you want to follow the rest of the stuff that comes from Bennett Maths, please do follow the page. The website's full of resources on there as well, so please do have a look at those. When I do my predicted paper, paper 2 and paper 3, which will be the day after or the day of the actual exam for paper 1, the first place I'm going to post it is on TikTok. So obviously, if you're following the page, you'll see that. These lives are every Sunday night. Which website? bettingmaths.com. Do I teach at Cecilia? I do teach at Cecilia. Is a prediction of topics. The prediction is on my website as well. So if you go on to bettingmaths.com, there's a massive banner that says Summer 2025. Click on there. You've got my predicted papers on there along with written solutions. Can I do foundation? I've done foundation already this evening, but this is all recorded. I'm going to place it, the highlights onto TikTok. I'm going to place the whole recording onto YouTube as well. So if you have missed it, you can look back through those. Okay, so on to question 7. Apologies for going off track there. So we've got 2 to the power of a times by 3 squared times by 5. The first thing you need to work with is the 3 squared times 5. 3 squared, that gives you 9. 9 times by 5 gives you 45. Again, I've got to show my working, so I'm writing all that down. So I know that 2 to the power of a times by 45 is equal to 360. It's just like solving equations. So we did the opposite times by 45. So we divide both sides by 45. So we get 2 to the power of a is equal to 8. Apologies, give me 1 second. TikTok was telling me that I'm not active. I've been for like over an hour. So we've got 2 to the power of a is equal to 8. So 2 to the power of something is equal to 8. 8 is a cube number. So a would be equal to 3 because 2 to the power of 3 is equal to 8. Thank you very much to those who are liking it again, and thank you for those who sent a gift. Is my YouTube channel called Betting Maths? It is. Everything to do with the website is always Betting Maths. So if it's on Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, it's the exact same username to avoid confusion. So on to question 8. I think this is a really nice question for question 8 of the higher tier paper. So we're just expanding and simplifying. So first thing we need to do is expand the first bracket. So we've got 2 times by 5x, that gives you 10x. 2 times by 6, that gives you 12. And then we move on to the second part. Okay, on this one, people tend to make mistakes. And the reason they make mistakes is they don't know what to do with this takeaway. Treat it as a negative. Do negative 3 times x, that gives you negative 3x. Do negative 3 times negative 2, that gives you positive 6. And then you don't need to worry about whether you need to add or subtract later. So what we do now is look at the x's first. We've got a 10x, negative 3x, 10 take away 3, that gives you 7. So we've got 7x. Then we've got 12 plus 6, that gives you 18. So our final answer is 7x plus 18. Can I explain how I got 8? Oh, on the previous question. So doing 360 divided by 45. No, I just knew that was worth 8. But if you didn't know that, you just keep counting up in 45s. So 45, 90, 135, 180, keep going, and you'll notice that there's 8 of those that go into 360. You're stuck on geometric proof and vectors. I think I've done a video recently on vectors, or at least a grade 9 question on it. So if you have a look back through the videos, you should find something there. But I can always put more stuff on there, onto the page. I can do simultaneous equations. I'll do those as well. Don't worry. Okay, so carrying on. So we're still on the AQA higher, and we technically have 5 minutes to go, well, a couple of minutes to go, but I'm going to go through the Excel as well. So it's going to last a little bit longer than expected. That's fine. So Erica tries to sketch the graph y equals 1 over x, and it says where x is not equal to 0. Make 2 different criticisms of her sketch. I do have a YouTube channel for those who are asking. I've not put a lot on there recently. I've kind of moved over to TikTok and tried to do short videos and lives, but obviously I'll put more stuff on there as well. Can I go back for a second? Yep, there you go. So you can screenshot. So have a look in the comment section. So line touches y, perfect, there we go. So if x cannot equal 0, it should not be touching the y-axis. So shouldn't touch y-axis. or any kind of variation of that. It is a reciprocal graph, but we've got to state what's wrong with this reciprocal graph. Just stating this reciprocal graph won't get you the mark. But again, this top left line should be here. Obviously, a much nicer kind of curve. So on this one, criticism 2, the top left line should be in the bottom left. There we go. So this is paper 1 AQA higher. So it's a non-calculator paper, for those who are asking. And then on to question 10. So someone is X years old, someone else is 5 years older, and someone is 3 times as old. Now, the word in the question is really key here. 1 or 2 people will make slight mistakes in this one where they will either add instead of multiplying or multiply instead of adding. So it says we've got the first person, so W is X. The second person, so M, is 5 years older. So it's not 5 times as old, it's 5 years older than it. So we're adding 5 on. So it'll be X plus 5. Again, don't know why there's a dodgy line there. Connor is 3 times as old. So 3 lots of X. So 3 times X gives you 3X. So it says the mean of their ages is 35. How old is Connor? When we find the mean, we're adding all the values together and then dividing by how many values there are. So we're doing X plus 5 plus 3X, and then we're dividing by, well, there's 3 people, and that's equal to 35. So we've now set up the equation. For those asking, this is AQA, and this is the higher tier paper. So we're around about kind of like halfway the paper now. So we work out this numerator. We've got 1x had 1x had 3x. That gives you 5x. We have a plus 5. So we've got 5x plus 5 over 3 equals 35. We want to solve this. We want to get rid of the denominator. So we've got 5x plus 5 is equal to, and then 35 times by 3 gives you 105. We then take away the 5 from both sides. We get 5x equals 100. We then divide by 5, and we get x equals 20. So we've got x equals 20. We want to find the value of Connor's age. He was worth 3 lots of x. So we do 3 times by 20. And for those who have put in the comments already, you get an answer of 60. So well done. Again, thank you very much to those who are liking the live. We've got 15,000 likes, and my goal was 10,000. This is by far the best live I've done so far. So again, thank you very much for your participation. And again, thank you to those who are sharing the live. We've had over 1,000 people who've been into it so far, which again, I think is really good, considering the order we just started. And again, if you don't already, please do follow the page. All the updates will be on this page. So we've done the AQA higher. We're now on to Edexcel higher, slightly later than scheduled, but we're on to it now. On the previous question, it says why the division by 3? Because when you find the mean, you add all the ages together and divide by how many people there are. But there's 3 people, so you divide by 3. This is the best one. I agree. I work for Edexcel. I think Edexcel is the best one. However, having said that, I now teach AQA, and I do feel that it's quite a nice specification to teach. If you're on AQA, I definitely would save this. If there's any questions on here that are not on AQA, I'll make that really explicitly clear. But most questions will be on both Edexcel and AQA, so if you'd like to stay, please do. Go back to question 9. There you go. No problem. Okay, can you do the same for OCR? I don't know the OCR specification, I'm not going to lie. I know it's very similar to AQA and Edexcel, but I couldn't be certain to say these are the topics that will be on there. I don't want to kind of lie to people. I know that seems to have happened from other people on TikTok over the last few weeks. But yeah, on to Edexcel. So if you're on a different exam board, stick around. Maths is maths. The contents could be very similar. So our first question, 4.62 divided by 0.12. We had a dividing decimals question earlier. Is it harder to pass? No. So the content in Excel tends to be a little bit more difficult, which means that the grade boundaries are a little bit less. So it's all proportional. If you don't know what exam board you are, you definitely need to ask your maths teacher, find out what it is. This is higher, this is Edexcel. This is from the Bennett Maths 3rd in 30 section. So first thing we need to do on this question, when you are dividing, the number you're dividing by, your divisor, has to be a whole number. And we've got 0.12. What we're going to do is multiply this number by 100. The reason I'm doing that is to get a whole number of 12. I did the same for the first number, so times by 100 as well. So I get 462 divided by 12. This is non-calculator for those who are asking. And this is Edexcel as well, yeah. So we're doing 462 divided by 12. So there's different ways you can do this. You can go straight to a short division and put your 12 on the outside and your 462 on the inside. Or, if you wanted to, you could break it into two smaller steps. You could do 462 divided by 2 divided by 6, because 2 and 6 gives you 12. So I'm going to go for the first method, and we'll go through another method if we need to. The effort, yeah, but it's 3 marks at the start of the paper. If you're at the very start of your paper and you can't bother putting the effort in, then you've got a long way to go. So 12 into 4 can't do, put a 0, carry the 4. 12 into 46 gives you 3 with a remainder of 10. And then 12 into 102, 8 12s are 96. There is 6 left over, so I need to carry my 6. So I've hit the decimal point, that's the end of my number. So I need to ensure my decimal points are aligned. Anything after that needs to have an extra 0 in there for the placeholder. 12 goes into 65 times, so we get 38.5 as our final answer. Again, well done to those who put that into the comments as well. On to question 2. So again, working with fractions, we had this on the previous AQA section as well. So we have 5 and 3/10 take away 3 and 2/5. There are 2 ways to do this. The first way is to look at the numbers first, so do 5 take away 3, then do 3/10 take away 2/5. Absolutely fine to do that. However, when you get a question where, similar to this one, where you have 3/10 take 2/5 gives you a negative value, people just lose their mind, they don't know how to do it. So what we're going to do instead is convert them both into improper fractions. So do 5 times 10 plus 3, that gives you 53 over 10. 3 times 5 plus 2, that gives you 17 over 5. And then at that stage, we need to ensure they've got a common denominator, so well done. So our first step is convert them both into the same denominator. 10 and 5 both go into 10. So the first fraction I'm not going to change. The second fraction I am going to change. To get from 5 to 10, I times by 2. Whatever I do to the denominator, I've got to do to the numerator as well. So I do 17 times 2, that gives you 34. So once we get to this stage, the denominator is the same, it stays the same. We do 53 take away 34. Again, if you're not too sure, do 53 take away 30 first, gives you 23. Take away the 4, gives you 19. It says give your your answer is a mixed number, which means we have a whole number and then a fraction at the side of it. So we divide 19 by 10, that gives you 1 remainder 9. The remainder goes on top, so you get 1 and 9 over 10. Question 3. I've never seen a question like this on AQA. So those who asked me earlier about is it worth staying for this? Well, if you don't do AQA, this is a question that you probably won't see. I say probably because I've never seen one, but it could appear, but it's highly unlikely. So it says a cube has a total volume of 64 centimeters cubed. A cube means they all have the same side. So we've got a number times by the same number times by the same number equals 64. So we just need to do the cube root of 64. That gives you an answer of 4, so we know all the sides of our cube are worth 4. So if I draw myself a little cube, I know that each one of these sides is worth 4. The next step is to find the surface area of that cube. It says surface area, it should say surface area. So we find the area of one of the faces first. So we do 4 times by 4, that gives you 16. So we know that one of those faces is 16. A cube is just like a dice, so there are 6 of those faces. So we do 16 times by 6, and as I can see, quite a few people in the comments have already got this, we get 96. Now, on this question, the answer line is giving you the units. So we write 96, and the units are given. If you was to put 96 centimetres, the examiner will just ignore the centimetres because they've given you the units. If they don't give the units, you get an additional mark for that. So if you wrote 96 centimetres squared and it wasn't given on the answer line, you get an extra mark for it. Another kind of quick tip for you, if you have a question that says find the surface area and you just don't know what to do, write any number, write centimetre squared or whatever units you've got squared, and you've got yourself 1 mark there. Same goes for volume. If you don't know what you're doing and it's not got the units in the answer line, just write any number, centimetre cubed or metres cubed, whatever units are in the question, and that will get you a mark as well. Question 4. So frequency polygon. Again, this is an Edexcel only topic. This does not appear on the AQA specification. So the first thing we do for a frequency polygon, once we've got our frequency table, is find the midpoint. This is going to give us our values that we use for our coordinates. Is surface same as surface area? It's not. It should have said surface area. It's just a typo on my behalf. So we do the midpoint. So halfway between 0 and 5 is 2.5. If you don't know that, add the two numbers together. So 0 plus 5 is 5. Half that gives you 2.5. That's how you find the midpoint. Can I go back? I will go back once I've done this question. So half between 5 and 10 is 7.5. Between 10 and 15 is 12.5. Then we've got 17.5 and 22.5. The midpoints are what we use as our points for our snow along the bottom, so along our x-axis. The frequency obviously gives us the height. So we go across to 2.5, we go up to 2, place across. We've got 7.5, we go up to 22, place across. And then we've got 12.5 up to 17. Then we've got 17.5 up to 14. And then we've got 22.5 up to 9. There we go. So that gets us 1 mark. What we do now is we join them together using a ruler. So just like dot to dot. So first to second, second to third, third to fourth. Obviously, if you guys got a ruler, it'll be a lot easier. I've missed the points. If you're within 1 little square of the point, you still get the mark if you've done it freehand. If they were saying, why don't you times the frequency? Because the question is not asking you to find an estimate for the mean. Again, that frequency table will pop up in a lot of different questions. It could be on cumulative frequency, could be on frequency polygon, could be finding an average. And I will go back, it's like someone asked that beforehand. So question 2 and 3 are there for you. So if you need to take a screenshot, there you go. How did you get 7.5? On which bit? So in terms of questions, this will not be on AQA. So if you're following AQA, you're not doing this question, so don't worry about it. How did you get 7.5 in this question? Have you found an estimate for the mean, maybe? I don't know the answer off the top of my head. Potentially, if you've done the midpoint and the midpoint times frequency, that could be the method you would do to find the mean. So on to question 5, Venn diagrams. Venn diagrams does appear on both Edexcel and AQA. They change, or they differ slightly. Edexcel like you just to put the numbers in the right section. AQA like you to put a total amount of numbers in each section. So, for example, if I had 1, 2, and 3 in A, they'd like to write 3 as a total. OCR does have Venn diagrams as well. This isn't OCR, this is Edexcel for those who are asking. So we've got a set of numbers, so 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 10. A is all the even numbers, and B is all the square numbers. Before I go on to actually draw on the Venn diagram, the first thing I need to do is list what those set of data would be. So even numbers, 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. And then, that's a dodgy 10, try again. And then for square numbers, we would have 1, 4, and 9. The centre part with the overlap is the numbers that appear in both of those lists. So I can see that a 4 appears in both of those lists. So 4 will go into the centre. Each number can only be in one of the 4 sections. So it can either be on the left-hand side of the circle, in the middle, the right-hand side, or around the outside. It can't be in 2 different kind of categories. That's the whole point of the middle bit. So we've used the 4. We still have a 2, 6, 8 and 10 on the left-hand side for A. So we place this up here. So we've got 2, a 6, an 8 and a 10. And then for the square numbers, we've not used the 1 and the 9, so they go into this section. What we do now is just work out which numbers we haven't used. So we've used 1, we've used 2, we haven't used 3, it goes on the outside. We've used 4, we haven't used 5, that goes on the outside. We've used 6, we haven't used 7, we've used 8, we've used 9, you've used 10. Okay, once you get to this point, just count all the numbers that you've got. So there's 10 in total. There was 10 in the question. We know we've used all the numbers. Is it a good idea to learn what a apostrophe means? Yeah, you need to know what all of the different set notations are equal to. I'll put a video onto Bedic Maths probably tomorrow now, just depicting what all the different ones are. A apostrophe though just means it's not A. So find the probability it's not in A. So we look at the circle for A, and we're not including any of those numbers. So basically all those we don't want to use. We're just looking at the ones that have not been kind of crossed out. So there's a 1, a 9, a 7, a 5 and a 3. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers. So there are 5 numbers that are not in the set of A. So those who wrote 2 out of 10, you've used the B part, but you forgot the numbers were on the outside. And there are 10 numbers in total, so it's 5 out of 10. You may, if you want to, simplify it. On Edexcel, they will never ask you to simplify a probability question. So if you write 5 over 10 equals 1 over 2, great. If you did, for example, wrote 5 tenths equals 1/5, which is a load of rubbish, the examiner would just ignore this part and you still get the full 2 marks for this. I should also mention as well, with Edexcel, they kind of give you 2 opportunities on this. So if you've messed up part A and you've scored 0 out of 3, but you had 7 numbers appearing in these 2 sections and you wrote 7 out of 10, you still get the full 2 marks. It's called a follow-through mark. So Edexcel are very generous when it comes to probability questions. So I'm just trying to catch up with any questions that are in there. Yeah, Edexcel, because it is slightly more difficult in terms of the content that's on there, they are a bit more generous and they do kind of give you that kind of like second chance. So question 6, the scatter graph shows information about the ages and weights of some newborn monkeys. So we've got all this information plotted. It says describe the relationship between the age and the weight of the monkeys. Now, it says relationship. It doesn't say correlation. So a lot of you will look at this and go, it's a positive correlation. Great. You write positive correlation, you're not always going to get the mark. Depends on who the principal examiner is for that paper. Most of them won't give you the mark anymore. They used to be quite generous like they did with probability, but now they're trying to kind of rein it in a little bit. So if you write positive correlation, it's not wrong, it's just not getting the mark. You need to comment on the ages and the weights. So as the age increases, and again, this could be on AQA and OCR as well. So as the age increases, what happens to the weight? Well, the older they are, the more they weigh. So as the age increases, the weight increases. Or you could say, as the age decreases, the weight decreases. So there's lots of different ways you could write it. You could write the age first, you could write the weight first. It really does make a difference. For those who think AQA seems harder, fair enough. It depends on the way the word of the questions, really. Edexcel tend to be a bit more generous in terms of how they mark it, but the content, especially towards the kind of like final 5 or 6 questions, is tricky. So on to our next question. So the price for console increases by 15%. This 15% increase adds £375 to the price of the console. Work out the price of the console before the increase. So we're given 2 bits of data here. We're told what 15% is equal to in terms of percentage and in terms of money. So we can say that 15% is equal to 375. What we want to do, if we want to find the original cost, we want to find 100%. Now we need to find a common factor of 15 and 100. So we could go down to 1% if we wanted to. We could go down to a different percentage. So I'm going to go for 5%. I think it's the easier option to go for. So to get from 15 to 5, we divide by 3. So we do the same on the right hand side. We do 375 divided by 3. Well, 300 divided by 3 is 100. 75 divided by 3 is 25. So we get 125. If I want to go from 5% to 100%, I multiply by 20. Again, I don't know what that dodgy line is, but it's there. So when you times by 20, that's the same as timesing by 2 and then timesing by 10. So if you're not confident times by 20, break it down into smaller steps. 125 times 2 is 250. And again, you can see it in the answers or in the comments what people get this right. And then 250 times by 10 gives you 2,500. So that was the original cost of the console. Quite an expensive console. Okay, so question 8. The diagram shows a solid cylinder or a horizontal floor, and we're given a pressure formula. We're told that pressure is equal to force over area. It says the cylinder has a volume of 1,500 centimeters cubed. It tells us the height is 50 centimeters. The cylinder exerts a force of 120 newtons on the floor. So we know the force is 120. I'm just going to write that up here. We want to work out the pressure. We don't currently know what the area is. So what we're going to do instead, if we want to find the area, is work backwards through the volume calculation or the formula. So we do 1,500 divided by 50 to get the area, because we know the volume is the area of the cross section times by the height or the depth. So do 1,500 by 50. Again, if you struggle with that, divide them both by 10. You got 150 divided by 5. 15 divided by 5 is 3, times by 10 gives you 30. We now know what the force is, we now know what the area is. We can substitute both of those into the formula to find the pressure. So the pressure is equal to, what is that dodgy line? Try again. Pressure is equal to 120 divided by 30. Again, divide them both by 10. 12 divided by 3 gives you 4. There you go. So those who got 40 can just have a double check of your answer. We've crossed those zeros out, we've used those. We've counted up in 30s, 30, 60, 90, 120. There's only 4 of them in there. Okay, and we must be getting towards the end of the Edexcel section now. I can't remember off the top of my head. Have we got any more to go? So this is Edexcel higher for those who are asking. Why did I divide 1,500 by 50? Because the volume is the area times by depth equals volume. We don't know the area, but we know the depth is 50. We know the volume is 1,500. So we just work backwards through that. Do 1,500 divided by 50. That tells us what the area is. Okay, so simultaneous equations, but graphically. And just before I do that, I just need to again verify that I'm on live for some reason. There we go, done. So simultaneous equations graphically. Again, a lot of people look at these and they get really confused. And they look at these equations and go, right, I need to solve these algebraically. To answer your question, this is higher for those who are asking. So a lot of people look at this and decide, right, I'm going to solve it algebraically. It takes them ages to do it. And like, well, it's worth 1 mark. Why did I have to do all that work? Much easier. And again, some of you put in the answer in the comments already. Well done to you guys. You just find the point where the 2 lines cross. So what is the coordinate there? Well, the coordinate would be 6 minus 2. A coordinate is always written as x first, y second. It's an alphabetical. Try again. So 6 minus 2 is always written x and y because it's in alphabetical order. So x goes first, y goes second. So x is worth 6, y is worth -2. Can you do your foundation next, please? Where were you an hour and a half ago? We've done foundation. We've been through AQA, we've been through Edexcel. The whole recording of this will be put onto YouTube later, probably tomorrow at this rate. We can go back and watch the whole recording. Again, thank you very much to those obviously who followed the page, those who have liked the live. On 90,000 likes, I set a goal of 10,000, so I'm really chuffed with that. Thank you to those who sent gifts as well. There's 6 gifts on there, that's really kind. I'll be next live on Sunday. I'm probably going to do a few extra ones in between, but I've got a set schedule of Sunday 8 till 9 or 8 till we finish. And we also have additional 2-hour sessions that will be on the night before the exams. Thank you to those who find this helpful. Again, please do like the live, please do follow me, please share it, just get the word out there, improve my kind of engagement levels as well. That'd be great. And that was the last question on the Excel Hire. Next week's live session, so next Sunday, we will be looking at part 2 of this. So we'll continue from this question onwards. So we'll be looking at question 10 onwards for Edexcel. And I can't remember what question we got to for AQA, but wherever we got up to, we'll continue from that point. Obviously, if you've got any kind of questions, any kind of requests, please do pop them in comments, let us know. How many marks is this paper? It's about a third of the paper, so they're around about 25 to 27 marks. But if you want to do the other parts of this paper, you can go to bennetmaths.com, go on to the 30 and 30 section. All of them are broken down on there. Well done. If you're in year 9 and you're keeping up with this, then fair play to you. You're doing really well there. If there are any questions, again, just pop them in the comment section. If you haven't already liked it, please do like it. If you haven't already shared it, again, do share it, just so that people can be aware of what's going on. Again, if you look onto my TikTok page, I've pinned at the top of my profile the schedule moving forward. The best way to get a grade 5 in foundation paper, past papers. Do as many past papers as you can do. It's maths at the end of the day. There's only so many ways you can ask you a question. If you've seen all the past papers, then obviously you're going to be in a real strong position. You'll find it second nature. It just means that when you actually go into your exam in May time, open the paper, you're like, well, I've seen any questions similar to this before. Just makes your life a lot easier. Past papers is definitely the best way to revise maths and science. Other subjects, I can't really comment on because I don't know. But if you speak to teachers, I think most subjects will say practice makes perfect, and the more, obviously, the more past papers you do, better you're going to be. What's my name? Bennett Maths, Mr. Bennett. There we go. There's a website, bennetmaths.com. There's a YouTube, Bennett Maths. Obviously, there's TikTok, Bennett Maths. Been a maths teacher for 12 years now. Head of maths as well in the Northwest. I'm a senior examiner for Edexcel. So again, you're welcome. Hopefully you found it useful. Again, please do share. Please do go onto my page and like everything for me. Share them with other people just to get the message out there. Why are the equation sheets in maths so useless? That's a very good question. It has to be consistent. It was generated through Ofqual. It's not an exam board kind of thing. So, for example, if you think about trigonometry, it's got A, B's and C when you'd rather have an O, H and A. That's just what the information came from Ofqual. The meeting of the exam boards determined that was the best way to do it. I probably don't agree with it, but it's on there anyway. Again, thank you very much. 24,000 likes. That's excellent. Lots of people sharing it. Though, yeah, you don't look at the equation sheet. Yeah, judging by the response time, there's a lot of people who don't look at it. The main thing on there really is you've got compound interest formula, which is great. That's definitely something that will help you. What else is on there? Pythagoras, if you can't remember, it's on there as well. How much should you revise every day? Little and often. 20 is plenty is kind of a good motto to go by. Do 20 minutes revision of, say, maths, have a little break, then do 20 minutes of another subject. Don't try and do 5-6 hours of one subject because you'll be shattered by the end of it and you'll be useless after that. £1 for a maths set. Oh yeah, I think there's products linked on my page, isn't there? Maths set, yeah, pretty cheap, isn't it? So Foundation Excel, you're looking about, if you can get just about 50, you're doing all right there. But for a more accurate thing, I put the grade boundaries for the last few years onto my page. So if you have a look at those, it gives you the score, it gives you the percentage. The whole point, to answer your question of the formula sheet, is just basically because of COVID, there has to be some kind of additional guidance given. The first year after COVID, they literally told you what topics were on there. So if you were back then, you found it even easier. The grade boundaries are a lot nicer as well. But it's just to kind of give you kind of like a way of getting back to normality. Because obviously you guys didn't do your SATs. This is the first kind of main exam you've ever done. How many marks for grade 7? You're looking at probably just over half marks on the higher paper for a 7. OCR, I'm sorry, I don't have any idea how many you need for OCR. Is OCR 80 marks still, or is it 100 marks? I don't know if they changed. Marks for 5 in foundation, you're looking about 62, 63 out of 80. The question that's on the board is a higher paper question. I've never seen graphical simultaneous equations on a foundation paper yet. Doesn't mean it won't be, but it's highly unlikely. I'm just going to leave that on the screen now. So if you want to take a screenshot, feel free to do so. So these are all the live schedules that I'm definitely penciled in. These are 100% going ahead. There might be some additional ones that go in there as well. But obviously, these are the ones that will definitely be there. All Sunday sessions are 8 till 9. Obviously, this one's lasted an extra half an hour. That's just because it took me a bit longer to get through the questions. The night before the exam sessions will be a bumper revision session from 8 till 10. So an hour on foundation, an hour on higher. Again, might be slightly longer on each one of those. How do you revise? For maths, the best thing to do is just do past papers. Just keep working through them. If there's predicted papers out there and practice papers, use those as well. There's some on the Bennett Maths website. There'll be predicted papers at paper 2 and paper 3. They are where predicted papers really come in handy because you eliminate the questions that have come up on paper 1 already. So, for example, if Pythagoras comes up on paper 1, highly unlikely it's going to be on paper 2 and paper 3. So the paper 2 and paper 3 predictions are pretty good. I'm not going to be like certain creators out there and say, I guarantee that I'll have so many percent accuracy, but it's usually pretty high. Thank you very much for your time. I am going to get going myself now, but again, if you've got any questions, please pop them in the comments. Just comment on any of my videos as well if you've got anything that you want me to go through. Again, thank you very much. 26,000 likes, that's pretty good going. 7 gifts, thank you to those who sent something. We've had nearly 2,000 people visit the live again, which is great. Right guys, ending the live now. Thank you very much for your time. I'll see you all next Sunday.